There is no pain so great as the memory of joy in present grief. From a small seed a mighty trunk may grow. Obedience is the mother of success and is wedded to safety. Memory is the mother of all wisdom. God always strives together with those who strive. It is best for the wise man not to seem wise. Everyone's quick to blame the alien. Bronze in the mirror of the form, wine of the mind. God loves to help him who strives to help himself. Of all the gods only death does not desire gifts. I know how men in exile feed on dreams. When a man's willing and eager the gods join in. What atonement is there for blood spilt upon the earth? By polluting clear water with slime you will never find good drinking water. Excessive fear is always powerless. There is no sickness worse for wretched life, and better never to have born than to live and fare badly. What is there more kindly than the feeling between host and guest? Be bold and boast, just like the cock beside the hen. His resolve is not to seem the bravest, but to be. Words are the physicians of a mind diseased. To be free from evil thoughts is God's best gift. In every tyrant's heart there springs in the end this poison, that he cannot trust a friend. It is good even for old men to learn wisdom. The one knowing what is profitable, and not the man knowing many things, is wise. Since long I've held silence a remedy for harm. God's most lordly gift to man is decency of mind. Whoever is new to power is always harsh. It is in the character of very few men to honor without envy a friend who has prospered. Wisdom comes alone through suffering. Happiness is a choice that requires effort at times. I have learned to hate all traitors, and there is no disease that I spit on more than treachery. Time brings all things to pass. For know that no one is free, except Zeus. It is not the oath that makes us believe the man, but the man the oath. The wisest of the wise mayor. The anvil of justice is planted firm, and fate who makes the sword does the forging in advance. It is an easy thing for one whose foot is on the outside of calamity to give advice and to rebuke the sufferer. You have been trapped in the inescapable net of ruin by your own want of sense. Destiny waits alike for the free man as well as for him enslaved by another's might. It is a profitable thing, if one is wise, to seem foolish. God lends a helping hand to the man who tries hard. There are times when fear is good. It must keep its watchful place at the heart's controls. But time growing old teaches all things. It is easy when we are in prosperity to give advice to the afflicted. For this is the mark of a wise and upright man, not to rail against the gods in misfortune. Death is softer by far than tyranny. The man whose authority is recent is always stern. Married love between man and woman is bigger than oaths guarded by right of nature. We shall perish by guile just as we slew. Justice turns the scale, bringing to some learning through suffering. Mourn for me rather as living than as dead. Neither life of anarchy nor one beneath a despot should you praise. To all that lies in the middle a God has given excellence. Who, except the gods, can live time through forever without any pain? Time as he grows old teaches all things. In the lack of judgment great harm arises, but one vote cast can set right a house. For there is no defense for a man who, in the excess of his wealth, has kicked the great altar of justice out of sight. And one who is just of his own free will shall not lack for happiness, and he will never come to utter ruin. When strength is yoked with justice, where is a mightier pair than they? What good is it to live a life that brings pains? I would rather be ignorant than knowledgeable of evils. What exists outside is a man's concern. Let no woman give advice, and do no mischief within doors. Only when a man's life comes to its end in prosperity dare we pronounce him happy. Self-will in the man who does not reckon wisely is by itself the weakest of all things. Unions in wedlock are perverted by the victory of shameless passion that masters the female among men and beasts. We must pronounce him fortunate who has ended his life in fair prosperity. It is a light thing for whoever keeps his foot outside trouble to advise and counsel him that suffers. For children preserve the fame of a man after his death. For the impious act begets more after it, like to the parent stock. I willingly speak to those who know, but for those who do not know I forget. There is no disgrace in an enemy suffering ill at an enemy's hand, when you hate mutually. Whenever a man makes haste, God too hastens with him. The evils of mortals are manifold. Nowhere is trouble of the same wing seen. Who apart from the gods is without pain for his whole lifetime's length. If you pour oil and vinegar into the same vessel, you would call them not friends but opponents. I, schooled in misery, know many purifying rites, and I know where speech is proper and where silence. Don't you know this, that words are doctors to a diseased temperament? I, schooled in misery, know many purifying rites, and I know where speech is proper and where silence. If you pour oil and vinegar into the same vessel, you would call them not friends but opponents. The evils of mortals are manifold, nowhere is trouble of the same wing seen.